Hey guys, I'm Leiah. Welcome back to Glossed and Bossed. Today I want to talk about, we all know the story about Icarus. He had those big, beautiful wings, but flew too close to the sun. And then what else happened after that? I want to talk about growth within your business. For me, it was a salon, and maybe growing too fast and not knowing all the ins and outs of all the things you might need to know that you do not know when you go into opening your own salon. For those of you that don't know, Bloom was opened in 2018. It was a teeny tiny little suite within a building off of Baxter Road. I had 2 stations in there. I had another person working with me. We both collectively worked under the name of Bloom for everybody to kind of know that we were a team, even though we had our own entities and own LLCs. When that came together, we literally only did hair and makeup for weddings, and then we wanted to expand and take over the whole building. We found out really quickly that our business was not able to be run within that building. Even though we were handed a license to actually be able to work in that building, when we went to renew our license and take over the building, they literally were like, no. So basically that city did not zone that building for us to be able to provide services like hair and makeup within the building. Even though there was a hair salon right next door, they were able to. And then the people prior to us were also makeup artists and hairstylists working in the same building. So quickly I found out that I needed to move and move fast. I found a suite. I reached out to somebody I went to hair school with, and I was like, hey, do you happen to have a suite available? So I moved in there, and literally the day that I was signing my lease was the day that all the salons got shut down due to that big old C word. And then I was building out a 2-chair suite for just me. When you're like super excited to expand, this was a building that had multiple rooms in it. We were gonna make it like a photography studio. We were gonna have hair and makeup available on set, all of the above. And then just to find out that you can't do that here is a huge upset. It feels like another failure. And if you've ever opened a business, failures come with that. So for me to look for another salon and another space to where I could do hair and makeup, it needed to have the same feel, but I was going backwards in my eyes because I wanted to open something bigger and better and expand. And this was just getting taken away from me because I needed to move fast, because if I don't have a suite or a space, I can't work. I went in and moved into another suite, built it out. And when I opened that suite, I found out really quickly that I needed an assistant of some sort and that I wanted to continue to expand. I did not want my dream to just be a failure. I wanted to keep pushing for it. So I had met a few people that I really thought were on my side and a good part of my team, literally blindsided by them. And they were people that I really needed to let go quickly. So we'll touch on that on another episode one of these days, but we're gonna get more into why and how I expanded from that 2-chair suite and how I did it so quickly. Hired some assistants, had some assistants that didn't work out. Then I hired an assistant that was amazing. She's still with me today, Savannah, I love you. I wanted to continue to grow the way I had expected to earlier on with that previous business. So for me, I reached out to my landlord and was like, hey, is there any way I can cut this wall down and make this even bigger? So that's exactly what I did. And within that, my lease obviously changed, so I had to negotiate. And things that I negotiated that I wasn't aware of, for instance, paying for a water heater within her whole business. I've had to pay for half of it, even though I had 4 chairs and she had a giant thousands of square feet. And then we moved out literally a couple months later. So learning these little kinks that came along with expansion, it taught me that, okay, we need to sit back a minute, maybe talk to an attorney and learn all of these things and slow down a little bit. However, I don't know how to go that slow, so we still kept pushing. Our suite was within another salon. Found out really quickly that our space was being used when we were not there. I walked into food literally being cooked on top of my developers, and we know developers, if you're a hairstylist, if they get hot, they are going to possibly not work the way they were supposed to. So we learned really quickly that we were no longer a fit within this salon. We loved a lot of the people over there, but we found out really quickly that we needed to expand, and sooner than we'd hoped. So I had opened suites literally a couple doors over, and I had people in there that were hairstylists, massage therapists. I had vaginal steaming. I had estheticians, and then I even had a podcast room over there. The podcast was called No Competition. funny. And when we expanded into there, that was literal suites. Each room had its own door and there was a little hallway and people had their own key and they could go in and out, and I was getting paid rent and they would run their business nice and smooth. Well, when we found out that we were no longer a fit within the salon that we were in and our stuff was being used and we were kind of being treated not so fairly, I know my team felt like they were in a space that they did not feel comfortable in any longer. So I also did not feel comfortable. I knew we needed to make a move. That building that I paid thousands and thousands of dollars to turn into suites, I tore them down. I left 2 suites standing and I moved us from that small suite inside somebody else's salon into the suites, Bloom, etc., that I created. We found out that it actually ended up working out the best for us because we were allowed to be in our own little space and we created this family. And I know everybody talks about family within salons, but ours literally is so good. We all moved in together and we all worked so well together. It ended up being a blessing in disguise for us to get out of there and save our sanity to move into this building together. Now, was it over $20,000 that I threw away? Absolutely it was. But we found a space that was safe for us and we felt comfortable. Our clients felt comfortable. They weren't getting looks when they were walking in the wrong door anymore. They knew exactly where to be and it was perfect. So now that I built out Bloom, etc., for the second time for us to all fit in there, having our suite renters as well as my booth renters and employees, there were 10 of us. Come to find out, the lease that I was getting ready to sign was literally handed to me, told me that I could sign for anywhere from 2 to 5 years. I went to sign for the 2 and then the landlord did not sign it. Said that they had a better opportunity come up and we had to move out within less than 90 days. I was already looking at another suite, another space, almost 5,000 square feet. It was right off General Booth. It was beautiful, it was perfect. However, every time I walked in there, the ceiling tiles were soaking wet and there was water on the floor. So I had to pivot really, really quickly to find a place for my team or Bloom was going to be literally nothing. And I was panicked. Like, where am I gonna go? Where am I gonna put this team? All my girls are gonna leave me. They're gonna hate me when I have to tell them that we have no place to work within 90 days. So I was frantic and looking for a space and I found the space that I am in today. And I will say that it has been the best move that we have ever made with all of the kinks and errors and failures, all of the above. It was worth it. When we made that move, we had to literally work in the barbershop that's a couple doors down from us. Thank you, Demonte, you the best. We ended up working, literally trading shifts like chair to chair with each other and making it work while this was being built out. I thankfully had an attorney involved to literally null and void the contract of that almost 5,000 square feet space, because could you imagine sitting there getting your hair done and water just dripping on your face? Absolutely not. I want to get into the things that you need to know about your landlords and negotiating contracts within a business. I did not know there were so many things that could be negotiated. Within a contract, there are so many things that with your lease, there's so many things you can negotiate, down to your build out, down to the percentages, down to renewals, all of the above. This salon right here, I had the landlord pay for a lot of my build up, probably half of it. He did sell the building and I got schmoozed into the new owner owning it and not getting paid for some of the stuff that I had to pay for up front and the old landlord was supposed to pay back. So these are things you want to make sure that you are paying attention to if you're going to go sign a lease. There are great things with owning your own business, but if you are not reading down to every little dot, and your attorney, your lawyer can miss them, your real estate agent can miss them, even if they're in business real estate, you want to make sure that you know your lease in and out and everything that you're signing. I'm talking from CAM fees. My CAM fees can go up to whatever they want to take them to. If they wanted to charge me $1,000 next year, they could. I did not know that. That's something you want to look into. The landlord was supposed to be responsible for the build out of my front desk and installing it. Did you know that if he signs it over to somebody else and you sign a provision saying that they are now responsible for your lease, if they didn't sign something saying they were responsible for taking over what that landlord was, they're not. So you don't get that money. I had almost $9,000 come out of my credit card one day for the installation of my glass doors that the previous landlord was supposed to be responsible for. Guess what? He's no longer responsible for it because he sold it and the new landlords took over and they're also now responsible. So there's so many things that you need to be paying attention to And it is not easy, and it's a lot, especially when your lease is like this thick. So basically what I'm saying, if you are not financially ready for setbacks and to hire all the people that are necessary to keep you safe within your business, I would take a moment, look at everything that you have, be thankful for what you have in that moment, sit back until you are truly ready and financially ready to keep moving, because you can get in a lot of debt that you don't want to be in. Within the beauty industry, with any creative industry, a lot of people want to own a business. They want that glory of running something, being an owner, being able to say that they're the owner, or they're running this or they're running that, but they're not truly ready to run a business. And if you're not, you might want to take a step back and maybe rent a booth somewhere, because there is a lot more to it than you think. And if you're not ready, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. Basically, for the first 3 years of your business, maybe even longer, depending on how long it takes you to get that solidified business, you need to be eat, sleep, drink, dreaming about it. The amount of dreams that I have had about my business, I still have them. You need to be all in. And I mean like hands on deck in your business. I mean from the being behind the chair to being in with your stylist, making sure that they're ready to go, your front desk, everything. You want every single client to know who you are when they walk through the door, because if they don't, eventually your business is a name and they know nothing about you. Now we can build our business to a place that we don't have to be at every single day of our lives, but we need to put all of that work in first for it to get there. I've had Bloom since 2018 and I have gone through the trenches. Now I have 2 wonderful managers that I'm going to be able to step away and move to a whole nother country while they keep Bloom up and running. Let's talk about bad reputations as a business owner. This can happen and happen really quickly. The amount of times I have heard of businesses getting walkouts or people no longer going to see them, or their businesses closing down. Doesn't always happen this way, but a lot of times it's because they didn't put in the work that they needed to create a reputation for their business. And I'm talking about putting yourself within the community. You want to be out there. You want to be talking to people. You want people to know who you are, who your team is. You want to make sure that your team is thriving, because if they're not, they're going to be chit-chatting about your business behind your back. And you want to make sure everybody is happy, because if you're not, you can be looking at a failure, and we don't want that. So for me, whenever I am having a meeting or talking to my girls or whatever else, we are talking about the business as a whole and how they're doing within it. I'm asking them, hey, is there something that we could do to make this better? I actually hand them all a piece of paper that says that you can fill this out privately, or you can sign it with your name, or you can email it to me, text it to me, and I literally ask them how they think that we can do, what we can do to make Bloom better for them and for their clients. If you are stepping out from being a booth renter or suite renter and you want to open your own business, you want to make sure you are prepared to treat your staff the way you would want to be treated. You want them to feel a part. You want them to feel important, because the people that are within your business are who makes your business. I'm always forever saying thank you and posting and talking about my team. I don't even call it my team. I call it our team, because Bloom is a family and we all work together, and without them, Bloom wouldn't be anything. So be prepared to treat your team like the best, because if you're not, you're going to lose it and you're going to lose them. Owning a business is hard. I think we all know that. And if everybody could do it, we would all do it. However, my number one thing I like to say is I would be rich as all get out if I had just stayed at a booth or a suite, because there is a lot more that comes with it that a lot of people aren't prepared for. And not being prepared for it is okay. It just might mean we need to take a step back before we take that step forward into the leap of owning a business. Owning a business has been one of the best things I've ever done. I do love doing it. However, I made sure I had the time and the money to put into it to build out what I have. If owning your own business is your dream, is your goals, keep going for it. Yes, I talked about a lot of the negatives, because a lot of these things aren't being talked about, and I think they need to be, because it can happen. However, if it's your goal, keep pushing for it. Just take those step to step to step until you're fully prepared. Don't just take that leap because it feels good in the moment. Believe me, I'm ADHD. I have a new idea for a business every single day. But this is one that truly stuck because I didn't want to give up on my dreams, and I pushed and pushed and pushed. And did I jump too soon? Yep. But that's what I'm here to teach you about. Thank you so much for dropping into Glossed and Bossed again. Please, please, please leave your comments and questions below. I want to hear from you about what you want to hear next. I've got a lot of topics coming up soon. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.